welcome back to the Youtini Show, your one-stop shop for all things going on in Star Wars. I am Eric here with Corey and Wes, and tonight is a very special show because Trials of the Jedi is about to conclude 4 years of the High Republic, but is it worth it? Andor, meanwhile, just set a series record that could change Disney forever, and Kathleen Kennedy gives us a Starfighter shoot date and a look ahead to the future of Star Wars. But to start us off tonight, it's finally time for us to say goodbye to one of the most incredible parts of Star Wars fandom for the last half-decade, the High Republic. Tomorrow, Charles Soule's Trials of the Jedi finally releases. I've read it, and I won't get into any spoilers about the book here, or when our review drops on the site tomorrow for the record. But for those checking in early, I will let you know my basic thoughts, whether it's worth the wait, and what our site rating will be tomorrow. But before that happens, Corey and Wes, we talked about this briefly last weekend for a while, but now that it's the night before, how does it feel that outside of a couple of final comics, the High Republic is ending tomorrow?
Man, we've been talking about this a lot this week on the team. I think, and it's funny. I didn't realize. I don't think how many people on the team came on after the High Republic started. I guess we really haven't had a lot of change up on the Youtini team in about 3 years. Recently, we've had a couple of folks come and go, but there's been a really solid core group for a good while now on the team. There was a time that we had a lot of turnover. We're just always interviewing new people and getting new people on the team. We just kind of stopped all that for a while, and everybody's been around for a long time. So when a lot of people like Caroline and Hannah and people were like, "Yeah, I joined way after the High Republic started," I was like, "What? How is that possible?" And I guess it made me realize just how long this thing has been going, and so much has happened in the Star Wars fandom since we started the High Republic. And if you just think about the timeline that the High Republic has ran for, just how much has changed about Star Wars books and comics and movies and TV. So much is different since we started this initiative. It's just really interesting thinking about the sort of meta of how long it's been around.
Yeah, no, it's been a really wild thing to see, and I think that there are so many people I've been seeing on Twitter especially, but everywhere people are talking about the High Republic ending. A lot of folks are like, "Oh my gosh, I got into Star Wars books because of Light of the Jedi. My first comic ever was the High Republic comics." People apparently came to the authors. The authors did an interview with StarWars.com, obviously, to kind of celebrate, and they were like, "Oh, we've had parents come up and say, I read these with my kids, and I started doing this." And it has been 4.5 years. And as I was writing the review, I was thinking back to that first live stream. The Project Luminous gets announced at Celebration, then the world shuts down, and we don't know anything for months. And then that one night, there's just that live stream on the Star Wars YouTube channel showing this hour of concept art and Jedi and planets, and there's interviews, and just the event that it was when it began was so epic. And it's crazy to think that, they put in their article, it's been over 25 books, over 100 comics, just the thousands and thousands and thousands of words that we've seen over the last 4.5 years. And now after tomorrow, the era won't be gone, but it is the story's done.
Yeah.
It's I didn't expect it to be to finish, I guess. You know what I mean? Star Wars is so eternal, it doesn't really make sense.
Do you think it's that they created the literary publications for the High Republic as a foundation to where they can springboard off and use the stories that they created through comics and in the books either to make movies later on or make shows later on? That's really the only thing I have to pull from. But
there's the totally real game Star Wars Eclipse.
That's right.
Right, Corey?
That's right.
You can't wait for that.
That's not real. You cannot convince me that's real.
Because our last foundational Star Wars stories are from movies, and this era is books, right? So,
right.
I think it's just a different way of doing it. I hope that it's more successful later on down the line, as in getting a adaptation where it be a movie or you get a TV series. I think TV series. I don't know because they didn't go so well.
The Acolyte, technically, the Young Jedi Adventures are obviously doing it with, which is a little, again, not as real as it were, but but it was funny, you talk about the foundation that it leads, and Jared, our buddy on the team from Legends Look Back, who has read every piece of canon material. Again, he's the Legends guy. He's read more canon than like anyone on the team as well. But he is liking the High Republic a lot to the New Jedi Order, which they're currently covering on the show, because it's a 19-book saga, right? That took over 4 years as well of Star Wars publishing. It was all the New Jedi Order, and if you didn't like the New Jedi Order, that is too bad.
No kidding.
Because it was also in 4 years. And
wow. That's crazy. I didn't realize that. I don't think.
Wild coincidence, right? And like Corey, obviously you came in with Legacy of the Force, but you might remember those times when it was like New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi. Like it felt like Star Wars kind of did big series to big series to big series. And I think we all agree that the High Republic as a whole maybe got a little too broad by the end for a lot of folks. But do you think there's a potential for it to maybe hit a Legacy of the Force thing? Because again, that was like a 9 or 10 book series, so it was like half the size of NJO. So
I don't know. A lot of those, it's funny, a lot of the books that came after New Jedi Order were like pretty criticized, like in Legends. Even now, people look back on those like
the rose-colored glasses are real great. Like, oh, I wish the Legends times. It's like, well, you didn't according to Goodreads.
I know, and I was a kid when I read all those books, right? And I thought they were amazing, and like they were hard. I thought they were hard to read. They were complicated. I remember thinking how complex the world felt, like just diving in and not knowing all the backstory and the history, and like how much depth it felt like there was. And I don't know. I mean, I like it when they commit to stuff like for long periods of time. And I kind of hope that they do that again one day with canon. Like, maybe we haven't like I don't know. I like banners like on things. I like it when there's I like it when there's things that are connected, even if it's loosely, because it feels like it's a group and it feels like you're reading a series. And like, we grew up reading Harry Potter, and it's like, I just want the next book in the series. You just always want the series to keep going with the characters, and love, and in the world that's been built. Like the original trilogy is kind of like a banner, right? Like this, the Clone Wars is kind of like a banner, and we've like done eras in Star Wars. So like, I don't know. I hope they do something like this again one day.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that it's cool that we have now, I think, like the Reign of the Empire trilogy with Mask of Fear, like started out. So we know we have 2 more books. So it's like you said, it's fun to look forward to that happening. But I don't know. I hope that the High Republic itself just gets more of these concise stories. Michael Seglain said in the interview, looking ahead, obviously this is not the end of the High Republic. All the authors, that's the company line, right? Like the story is over, but the era goes on and all that stuff.
Right.
And he says, we don't necessarily have phase 4, but we have phase more, is what they say. Which one?
What does that mean?
Very fun, right? Like good job rhyming there. Very fun. But I think it's an idea that some of these stories can go forward. They're not just gonna say, well, we did those old stories. Like I feel like some of the old Republic books felt like that. Like they did the KOTOR comic for years, and then they did the Revan and the Bane books, and they're like, well, that's done, and they never touched it again. Outside of the game. But I don't think that's the case, right? I think there's still. I think that Star Wars, based on something Kathleen Kennedy said, we'll get to later in the show, I think there might be a little more freedom when they're courting authors, and especially to say like, hey, here's the era timeline of Star Wars. We have stories in these 3. Which one do you like more? Because we know they assign them, right? Like they offer them out. But do you think there's a world where you can say, hey, author we haven't worked with before, we have the High Republic, the Reign of the Empire, or the New Jedi Order? Which book do you want? And then they assign them all out, or do you think we're overthinking and they're just going to keep assigning books?
I don't know. I mean, they covered so much depth in this period with these characters. Like, I feel like it's going to be a little tough to revisit this like in a super clean way, in my opinion. I think you could certainly play around in the universe maybe a little bit during the time period, but just so much happened. It'd be like in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, there's so much content like was created, and so many storylines and characters and worlds and original ideas like in Star Wars. Like it would be very tough, I think, just to jump into this. Like, I mean, how can you tell a story in the High Republic sort of era without like reading all this content. Like that's like that's a massive ask to get an author to do, you know.
It's kind of like the post Return of the Jedi stuff in the old days. Like, you know, can you read Heir to the Empire if you haven't seen the original trilogy? Like conceptually,
I know, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You know,
but
I want you to. It's a big ask. I feel like to get folks to understand all that. So I feel like I think the High Republic, as we have seen it, is probably tied up in a pretty nice little bow, in my opinion. I think this is probably going to be, you know.
Funny you should say that, Corey, because now I will do the little release preview. So no spoilers. There are no spoilers here at Youtini. We're a pretty spoiler-averse. Our Canon Book Club show that does all the coverage of the books now a month after does get into spoilers, but we give people time to read. Our reviews on the site are non-spoilers. So keep hanging out. But I have read Trials of the Jedi. Corey and Wes have not. So I thought it'd be fun to give a little tease, a little bit of what we can expect tomorrow. So I will start off by saying, for the first time in Youtini's history, on our review team, we like to try to take multiple voices, multiple points of views to make sure that our review is accurate. This book received a unanimous masterpiece rating from every person on the review team. Never happened before in 6 years. So we start there. What do you guys think of that? How does that, did you expect that?
Do you think that, does that mean that, like, man, that's a big one.
So it's funny, because masterpiece, right? So our Youtini rating system goes masterpiece, incredible, good, fair, mediocre. And a lot of times we'll get some masterpieces and incredibles back and forth, maybe a good thrown in there, and we kind of average it out. So
we don't have that many masterpieces in general, though. I think there's like 20,
but a lot lately.
Like
totally. Mask of Fear and Tears of the Nameless both got a masterpiece rating, but we're not unanimous. There's some incredibles there. So this doesn't mean that Trials of the Jedi, therefore, is the best book Youtini has ever reviewed, necessarily. Mm-hmm. But it does mean that the diverse reading viewpoints of the team all agree that it is at least a masterpiece level. And I can see why, having read it. Yeah, it is. I will say this. Number one, it does finish the story, right? As we said, the High Republic can go on with some storylines. Like, it's very much like Return of the Jedi in that way. Like, obviously, you can see where you can go from here. But it is a finale. It is not a last episode of The Acolyte. It is not a, well, at the last second, there's a twist that come back for the next High Republic. Like, Charles Soule lands the plane. So if you are worried about waiting because Star Wars is allergic to endings, as I think we've said sometimes, they're a little afraid to end things. It does. He does finish it. Charles Soule brings every thread together as best he can. Threads from the comics, threads from the manga, threads from the young adult novels, threads from the adult novels, threads from the Star Wars Insider short stories.
Wow. So unlike J.J. Abrams, he can both tell a story that's good at the beginning and the end. Oh, that's good to know. It's
kind of wild. Yeah, he does apparently have that talent. But on that note as well, Corey, one of your worries, I think, as we were talking last week, in previous weeks, was that you haven't read everything lately. You've fallen off a little bit, and you were worried if you'd be lost. Now, I will say, if you have read everything in Phase 3, in Phase 2, and Phase 1, you will get the most out of the book. That is kind of obvious. I'll say it, but yeah, if you've read everything, you'll understand every single line.
For sure.
For sure. But we have made fun of the High Republic team for calling every book a jumping on point. Yeah. And we have made fun of Charles Soule for saying, you could go from Light of the Jedi right to Trials. I'm like, that's an insane thing to say. I don't recommend doing that. But goddamn, I gotta say, I can kind of see what he meant by it.
I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it honestly, because I just finished Catalyst coming after Andor. Right. I just listened to the audiobook Catalyst, and like Star Wars books. After having listened to like basically nothing but Sanderson books for like the last year, Star Wars books are like, man, they're so short. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's like nothing.
Freaking Sanderson audio books are like 58 hours. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like 16, 12.
Yeah. I'm like, I think after I get through Wind and Truth, maybe I'll do this. Which so like that means like in a year from now when I'm done listening to Wind and Truth. But I might seriously do this. I can just go back and read this one because like Wes, we both fell off at phase 2 a little bit.
Phase 2, right?
And now that everything is together, I don't know. I might give it a shot. There's been a lot of debate on the team about like at Youtini we're like obsessed with like orders and lists and like what are the ways that you can like understand and read the High Republic if you're new?
What's necessary versus what's recommended? And because we've all read most of this stuff, are we like if we had a huge debate which I loved on the reading team especially like if we're giving an article, which we're definitely going to put on the site at some point, if you just want to read the High Republic story, what do you need? Or else you're lost. Like really, if you really strip it down, what do you just need? And there's not a consensus yet. To let y'all know on the inside, but
the the absolute critical, like if you want to say that, all right, I participated with the High Republic in some way, like the list of what you like need is not that long actually. I think we have kind of decided, but I think we're sort of leaning towards like there's so much content. There's sort of a nice opportunity for almost like a bit of a path situation. Like if you like this type of thing, maybe you go down this route. If you like this type of thing, maybe you go down this route, and like some different angles to go with it that way. Which I think is maybe kind of what we're leaning towards. We'll have to see kind of what we end up coming up with. But we're trying to actually figure that out right now, which is tough.
It's an active debate.
It is, yeah.
I'm leaning in the direction of reading just the adult novels for phase 3, but I don't hate the fact that I can go back and read something in the middle like a YA novel to figure out why something happened after the fact.
Yep.
I don't hate that at all. I like doing that. I've toyed around with going back and reading a lot of Legends books just to pick up on some of the details that I missed out on from years ago. And I don't hate it. I think that I was like, oh, that's why. Like I'll say that out loud as I'm reading a book or something. So I don't think it's a bad idea to do that either. So
no, there's plenty of stuff to do that. And even in our guide I put out last week about what to read after the High Republic, because I know a lot of people that have caught up with it will fall into a slump. My last recommendation was the High Republic, because plenty of folks didn't read all the comics or didn't read all the stuff. And you can always go back to that. I will say, though, what I would recommend, if you have read most, or if you're like, I want to get probably the most I can, but I want nothing too crazy, my reading list for Trials of the Jedi, that is pretty minimal, is Light of the Jedi, Rising Storm, Fallen Star. So the first 3 adult novels of Phase 1, I think pretty much no matter what you're doing in the High Republic, that's a really good trilogy to start. It's also my favorite published trilogy in Star Wars, my hot take. Shadows of Starlight, which was a comic mini-series that basically takes you between phases 1 and 3 of like what happens. There's some pretty important stuff that happens in that one. This is long enough that I feel okay talking about that a little bit. Like the fate of Buryaga is in that comic. You find out like what happens there and other things like that. And then in phase 3, the adult novels, Eye of Darkness, Temptation of the Force. Those bring in the idea of like the Blight, which is a pretty big deal in this book. And then I'd also recommend the YA novels, Tears of the Nameless, the George Mann novel, which was our book of the year last year. And then Claudia Gray's Into the Light, both of which I think are just phenomenal books. But overall, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 8 projects total that I think are pretty key. But again, if you just, I don't know how he did it. And I'm honestly a little frustrated on how Charles Soule was able to make this a legible book with every single thing that went on with it. With
it's
every
like that
character, like
it's got to be that meme of the guy with like all the strings and the pictures on the board. And he's like, is he the alien? Is it the aliens guy? It might be the aliens guy. No, it's not the aliens guy. It's
from It's Always Sunny. It's Always Sunny.
It's from Always Sunny. That's what it is. Yeah. It's kind of had to be something like that.
Yeah,
I'm also looking
works.
forward. I'm also looking forward to the omnibus that will ultimately come that will combine a lot of the High Republic stuff. I know we have like several comic runs, and there's enough of them now that like it'll be a decent amount. There's over 100 comics now. I looked that up this week actually.
Over
There's
100 comics.
Over 100 comics, which is really impressive. That's enough for multiple omnibuses. I've started. That might be my. It's omnibuses. It might be my next collection hobby. I don't really have many collection hobbies. I tend to start those and then sell the entire collection.
Yeah. So you always have room.
That's right. I always have room for a collection hobby, and I'm considering getting into collecting omnibuses because you can get such a huge amount of comics. Like it's actually decent value when you do it that way. So like, and they're beautiful hardcovers. They're just huge. You have to like read them in like a freaking like book holder thing because they're so enormous and heavy. I have this one.
Do you have the John Jackson Miller one?
Yeah. You can X-Men one. Look at this. This is a thick boy.
Oh yeah.
Look how freaking big this thing.
Omnibuses are
enormous.
So
they're so helpful. Like
it weighs like 12 pounds. I swear.
Oh yeah.
You can crack a nut. You know what I mean?
And I think a lot of the High Republic ones are on sale. They were on sale on Amazon. That's right, Wes. That's what they're for.
Maybe crack 2 nuts if you drop it wrong.
But, well, as we speak, I hate to do this, but if you're listening to the show, the Phase 1 Marvel Comics Omnibus is on sale from $100 to $33 on Amazon.
That is not true. That is not true.
Right now, the Phase 2 Omnibus is from $75 down to $38. So yeah, right now, Corey, if you want to get both of those, 33 from 100. There's 7 copies left. So people, you might see Corey buy this as we're talking.
The High Republic Phase 1 Omnibus, Phase 2 Omnibus.
Yeah, so
and
instead of
Phase 3 is not. Phase
both.
3 is not out yet. Obviously,
it just finished, so they got to put it out in trades first and then Omnibus later.
I don't even think they've announced that yet. I think I was looking at that this week.
No.
That is really cheap. Aren't these things normally like $100 bucks? All right, I'm buying both these literally right now.
There we go, everybody. So there's now 6 copies left of Phase 1 on it.
I will return
I
them
the
if I
trades,
have
or else
buyers
I would do it. Honestly,
that is a steal. Why is it so cheap?
They're on sale.
It says 50% off.
Yep. I mean, they do promos based on. High Republic books were all on sale a couple weeks ago as well. Like I think they're just. Sales is sales, and Amazon is a horrible hellscape that's destroying the book economy. But let's use it. But if you're gonna buy anything on Amazon, make sure you go through Youtini and get an affiliate link because then we need help out the show a little bit.
The High Republic Adventures is largely considered to be the better of the 2 comics. That was
good.
Yeah,
so good. Yeah, well, yeah, it's an all ages comic, and for me, they're both really great. High Republic Adventures is just more surprising to me because I didn't expect it to be as deep as it was. And I really have always had a great time with that. Especially in Phase 3, they've had the Battle of Ariadu has been going on, which does play into Trials, but again, he brings you up to speed. So this is what I'm saying though. Like there's so much of this stuff that even though yes, it's ending tomorrow, we're getting a one-shot from Marvel to end the comic run and a couple other things. All these stories are still around now. You can just catch up. You can wait for sales. And this story, I think, as the years go on, people are going to find it. People are going to find it. Corey's going to buy more sales. Like, it's really going to go on. And
is there a certain character within the High Republic that they could latch on to maybe, like, create more stories from just one character or 2 characters?
Well, here's what I'll tell you, Wes. I'm not going to say
or
that,
did everybody die?
I will not confirm or deny. I'm not. What am I, the Acolyte Wayseeker? I will not confirm or deny the life or death of any character in Trials of the Jedi. But yes. No, here you go, Wes. I'll say this. Yes, there are.
Okay. That's great.
The galaxy is not wiped out by a nuke. There you go.
I guess you can't say. I guess you can't say so unless we're gonna. Yeah, completely get into spoilers for the book.
There are characters at the end of the book that are alive.
All right.
There you go. There you go.
So what you're also saying is there are characters at the end of the book that are not alive. Whoa. Okay.
Listen, Wes is twisting my words, everybody. I'm trying to keep it spoiler free.
All right, I
Oh
definitely just
man,
purchased both of those. That's cool.
can't wait to borrow them. It's gonna be great.
That's a steal, honestly. $33.
No, it's
That's 67% off. That's
honestly,
unbelievable.
I almost bought it. I own the trades,
Oh
but I'm gonna
yeah,
see what
that's
it's like at
true.
yours. It's tough.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
it's
so many
it's a
play, though.
hardcover too.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like when you go to the comic store, like the omnibus section is always just like alluring to me because there's
It's
these
so pretty.
huge, beautiful, sexy hardcover books, and especially when they do those special editions where like the entire
Oh,
series is
yeah.
collected, and there's like an image of all the when the books are next to each other. I'm like, oh my God, that is just
The
I
best.
love that. I
Absolutely
love
the
that.
best.
So yeah, I'm slowly becoming an omnibus person, and the nice thing about these two, because I'm a finance interested person, Eric. These
Yeah.
hardcover omnibuses, they kind of hold their value. So like if
Oh
I
yeah,
do
once they sell
decide
out, they
to
skyrocket.
yeah, if I do decide to not do this anymore, you can kind of flip them if you wanted to and not lose everything, which is kind of nice. Like I used to get there was a while there when I was in medical school, I went to the comic store every week and I would have the pools and stuff. Like, and I would
Oh
just pick up
yeah.
a whole stack of them every
Is
single
that in
week. And
college?
man, that adds up. And all those paper books, like they're hard to store. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, there's not a good way to display them. You read them once, maybe twice
Yep.
ever, and then yeah. So I'm just like, I just can't do the comic collection thing. But I don't know. I've tried the digital multiple times and just can't. I just can't
It's
make myself
different.
do digital only. Like
Yeah. I read
I don't
weeklies
know.
digitally now, but if I'm gonna collect, so this could be the way. This could absolutely be the way. But let me ask you guys this then. So Corey's gonna get into the comics, which I really love. There's tons of good stories in there, and I think reading them in a row is definitely better than doing the weeklies, at least for me.
Mhm.
But before Trials hits, let's get it on the record now, because I'm sure we'll hit a week after these guys read Trials at some point. Might be a year, might be now. Looking ahead to Trials of the Jedi, and looking back to what the High Republic has been for 4.5 years, what has been your favorite moment in the High Republic now on the eve of its end?
Oh, that's easy for me actually.
Do it.
Outside of the stories, actually, my favorite moment
Okay.
in the High Republic is going to that panel at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and there was standing room only in that enormous freaking room we were all in for that panel, and all the cosplayers, and like it was just everybody was blown away. The authors were all like basically moved to tears on stage. Like nobody
Yeah.
we didn't know how big it was going to be then. That was like it has not been out that long.
Yeah.
And like that was just I don't know. It's very rare that the book community is able to come together. We're all
Yeah.
like
We're
rec-
inside reading.
yes, we're
Like, this is-
reclusive and introverted
Yeah.
and like
Oh,
it's hard for us to come together. So to get that many people in
yeah.
a room that all knew what the High Republic was, that was awesome. And everyone's really
Dang.
excited about the newest announcements, and the authors were so excited, and everybody was still really hyped at that stage, right? Like we hadn't,
Oh yeah.
like they hadn't burned out, like the candle hadn't burned out yet, right? So it was
Mhm.
like, yeah, that was easily the best moment for me.
Okay.
That's great. All right, Wes, what do you got?
It's kind of along the same lines as you, Corey, but it's the reveal that we had when it came out, but late at night. It was like late at night. It was like 10 p.m., but it took a while for him to get
It was
to get
dark.
to it. Yeah. All right.
I
And
remember that.
But we had but all the Youtini team was involved, and we were just like putting out tweets, and we were just
Yeah, I
writing up
remember that.
articles, and everybody was watching it, and it seemed like such a huge era that they're going to start. We were like, man, this is just a start. It's just going to be books. It's just going to start. We're going to get movies. We're going to get games, like everything. So like the expectations were through the roof, and we were super excited for it. That's easily like the very beginning is easily my favorite part about it.
Yeah, that's mine is
It was
similar.
Project Luminous first.
Project
Remember that?
Luminous, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
Project
it.
Luminous first, and I pulled up the Wikipedia article on the High Republic, and that was February 24th, 2020 is when that was. Wes, like, that's like
2 weeks before the world shut down.
that's like right before the pandemic. Like I remember we were in the hospital that week, like as residents, like. I think the world's about to end all around us.
Yeah.
Like they were sitting us down, starting to talk about contingency planning and really scary shit, and we were like, What is happening? Let's talk about Star Wars books.
Star Wars.
Let's talk about Star Wars books. Italy is like in quarantine right now, like a freaking scary movie. But like, let's talk about Star Wars.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of speculation beforehand too, because we were like finding little bits and pieces about it. I think Luminous had been brought up like sometime before. Then we were like, what does that mean?
Fans of the Luminous were like, oh, and like people were like, oh, it's Yoda's speech. Is this a Force ghost thing? Like, all the theories were so much smaller than what it became because we couldn't fathom a 4-year multi-medium initiative of storytelling. Like, yeah, I think that was a great moment.
I'm proud of them for doing that, for actually reaching for something here and trying something different.
Yes, it took so many guts, and I think it's so funny because mine is also a very early moment, which is not to say that it was all downhill from there. It was just like it's like seeing the Force Awakens trailer for the first time. When Harrison Ford runs out. Like, it's not to say that stuff was bad, but that might be the height of how I felt, you know? And it's when I remember I was in my apartment in Chicago, and I was reading Light of the Jedi on my iPad on the review copy, and I remember I was in the chair in the bedroom, and I finished it, and I just remember, like, almost vibrating to be like, oh my God, they did it. I'm like, this is different now. It was like I had no one to talk to about it, of course, at that time.
You can't. It's
but
all
I was
embargoed.
like, just sitting there in the dark, being like, I have witnessed Star Wars change in front of me. Like, there's no going back to before the High Republic. Like, it's good, and it's like we had I don't remember all the books that came out around there, but we had some really good ones. But it was again kind of up and down, which a lot of publishing is. So I wasn't sure how good it was going to be, and there was that pressure that, oh, God, if this doesn't work, it's many years of this, and just remembering, oh, my God, people are going to lose their minds over it, and then it was just a whirlwind. So
it really is proof that, like, you can rally the Star Wars book community around something, and it takes a lot of effort, and there has to be almost a tidal wave of like hype, I guess, around the project. But like, it can be done if you make it feel important. And I think that's what the High Republic did. It felt important. It felt like it was new and different, and like we're in this new era of TV and live action TV and Disney Plus, and this is where the future of Star Wars is going. And but also the book people, you guys got your thing too. It's going to be this High Republic thing. It's totally new. It's this new original thing. We're going to put all this effort into it, and that was cool. And I think everybody rallied behind that, and it proved that. It can be done. I think. Yeah. Will this ever happen again? I have no idea. We will never know. We've talked about that endlessly on this show. Like,
yeah.
I don't
like the
I don't know
Mandalorian
that...
season 1, The Force Awakens. Like, these are moments that maybe we've gotten content we've liked more since then. But the hype of those moments, because it was the first time it happened again. I don't think we'll hit that height again. But it is exciting that it happened, and I think tomorrow isn't going to be that same kind of thing, because obviously, like, a book release day, then everyone is quiet and reads a book.
Yes.
But I think the wave we'll see of reactions is going to be pretty great. So keep an eye out tomorrow morning. Around 9 or 10 a.m. We're going to post that. It'll be on Instagram and all that stuff. So stay tuned. Before we keep on going, we're going to take a quick second to let you know that this episode tonight is brought to you, as always, by the United, the official Youtini community. Now, by joining the United, you'll not only receive ad-free shows and exclusive merch drops, you'll get unlimited access to our Discord, full of enthusiastic Star Wars fans that want nothing more than to welcome you and celebrate the High Republic and make you spend money on cards and all kinds of great stuff. The United is powered by a community of intentional positivity, and that makes it the absolute best place for you to celebrate your fandom and engage with fans who love everything you do the way that you do. Now, by heading to youtini.com/community, you can sign up for a whole year of the United and save 15% when you use code YOUTINISHOW. That is one word, code YOUTINISHOW, for 15% off your first year of the United. So head on over now and get signed up to check out our amazing events and connect with your favorite podcast hosts. Thank you to everyone for their amazing support. And now, back to the show. Now, speaking of rampant success, we got more news this week that our favorite series, Andor, actually did quite a bit better than we had thought. Thanks to data from Nielsen, the folks that have done all the official television ratings for decades, During the week of Andor's finale, it was the #1 most streamed television series. Oh, no, not the most watched Star Wars series or talked about on Twitter series. The #1 series, period. Now, for context, this beat out Grey's Anatomy, Criminal Minds, The Last of Us, and the juggernaut that is Bluey. So, fellas, initial reactions to this frankly shocking news about a show that we heard no one actually watches.
Yeah, this might have been the most bombshell like news story that's ever happened. I feel like since we have been in existence, Youtini, like everybody was genuinely shocked when we were talking about this on our team. Like,
yeah.
I may have been the one to share it, actually, if I remember correctly. I think I caught it really early. I think I must have been at the hospital early or something. And I caught it really early. I was like, no, this is not true. And I did some digging, and some major news report sources were reporting it, and I was like, holy shit, this is a really big deal. Like,
yeah,
no show has done this yet. Like to beat out freaking juggernauts like Grey's Anatomy.
Honestly, like more people watch Andor than Bluey. And if you don't have kids or don't know people that don't have kids, you might not understand how many people stream Bluey on like a
Bluey
regular basis.
It's a great show. If you've never watched Bluey with kids, it's wildly wholesome, actually.
Yeah.
Like, if you're ever having a bad day, you can honestly put that on. You're like, it'll make you cry. It's ridiculous. Honestly.
No shade to Bluey here.
But it is like by a large margin every single week the most streamed show in the world, because like I think people just put it on for their kids. Like, what are you gonna watch? Bluey. Toddlers, you put it on. Like, that's the go-to like show. Like, it's like the screensaver on the freaking computer. So like to beat out Bluey is frankly unbelievable to me.
And it was with the final number was 931 million minutes watched of Andor. Of this show. They said that the release schedule is going to kill streaming. Nobody wants 3 episodes of Star Wars at a time, 4 weeks in a row. Oh, it's going to fall off. And actually, season 2, the first 3 episodes, I saw premiered at the number 10 spot, and each week they rose by an average of 101 million minutes a week, every consecutive week, to end at the number 1 spot. So season 2 should have fallen off because people fall behind. It should have been less minutes because it was way too much to watch every week. It was way too mature. No one knew who Cassian was. People didn't watch season 1. And yet, the week the finale aired, it's the most popular show in the world.
That's also shocking to me because it's the finale.
Yeah, nothing about this should have worked.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
You know what happened, guys? Other than the best Star Wars show of all time got made and made me get a tattoo, they actually marketed the television show. Remember how many times you saw Tony Gilroy in front of you? He's still around. He's still around right now.
Still freaking doing interviews. Next week he's gonna tell us that Bob Iger is actually dead, and gosh, Kathleen Kennedy has been running Disney actually for 6 months. That the man keeps doing interviews.
So like they actually put money behind the marketing. And yes, Connor in our chat says it topped it in its final week. It's vindication for us that love great television and want success. Like, this was the moment where Star Wars actually decided, guys, I know we haven't done this in the entirety of the history of Disney Plus. What if while a show is airing, we're going to put a lot of interviews out about how good it is. We're going to put out a lot of long-form discussions to trust our audience being smart about the fascist overtones and about the designs and everything. Right. And then maybe that'll get people to see it. And they're like, oh, cool. Yeah, we beat the biggest show in the world because of it.
Like, yeah, I think JG has a important point too, is word of mouth. Like,
yes,
it week over week, more people started watching it. It's like, hey, you need to check it out. And he's like, you're right. I need to check it out. I need to tell my other friend they need to check it out. And you're like, okay, well, I'll do that. And it just keeps snowballing from there. And that's probably why you saw that huge spike in the finale. But I mean, I guess I'm biased. I like Star Wars, sorry, but I felt like it was projecting.
This is the Youtini show.
I felt like it was projecting up the entire time, and it was going to be.
It was. Honestly, yeah, I totally agree. I feel like I personally campaigned for this show more than I have any other Star Wars show. Weirdly, like.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I was literally telling everybody to go watch Andor, not because I wanted it to succeed or I was done some kind of chronically online internet. We have to make Andor be successful. Not like that at all. Because I don't care. Like they're gonna make billions of dollars regardless. Like they're gonna keep making Star Wars. I'm not worried about it. Like the sheer volume of Star Wars that we're getting every single year is insane. I'm not worried about that at all. But genuinely, I was talking to people that don't care about Star Wars because even they had heard that Andor was like really good, and so I would just talk to people like, have you watched Andor yet? And they'd be like no, but I've heard people talking about it. I'm like, listen, you have to watch it. It's serious. It's not like other Star Wars. Like it's really violent. Like and
that's key. I've heard people talking about it. You mentioned like people said they like.
I know
so many people. Oh, I have heard people talk about this, and I'm talking to my friend about this. Like, I have friends everywhere, right? It's as Luthen said. That's literally what happened. But I think the big thing that I took away from this as well is that they also didn't take their foot off the gas with it at any point, because this is data from the like a month ago. Like apparently it takes about a month for the streaming data to get in. But since that has happened, they've been Emmy campaigning for Andor almost every day. Like if you've seen the For Your Consideration stuff, like Emmy campaign season is in full swing. All these networks and stuff have to put out like videos, and they have to officially submit. They got to pay money and do all this stuff. And I have never seen this level of push for any Star Wars project from official Star Wars.
It needs to win awards. I mean, Star Wars has historically not been credited fairly, is the large consensus from the cinematic community.
Outside of like tech,
Yeah, exactly. The technology has always been the thing that Star Wars, but
it's not fair. You shouldn't just be like, oh, Star Wars won something, probably in tech, and you're like, oh.
It's because it's, in my opinion, and this is my naive, I don't know shit about movies opinion, but it's because Star Wars is campy, and awards don't go to campy shit. That's just how it is. They like serious R-rated war films. It's what they like, and if it's not Oppenheimer, it's not going to win anything. So, but Andor is closer to freaking Oppenheimer than it is Revenge of the Sith, in my opinion.
100%. 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. Now, it's been a strong Emmys year, so that being said, Charlie and I also just watched The Pit, so, like, listen, Andor's, I like it better, but I get it. It's a very good TV year.
Yeah, I know the show is amazing.
The fact that, even if it doesn't win as much, the fact that internally at Lucasfilm, they're respecting it so much to say, hey, like, the first season of Andor almost felt a little bit like they were not ashamed of it, but they're like, yeah, we made it, but like Grogu, no, man, Andor's the best thing we've ever made.
It's hard for creators to talk seriously about Star Wars too. I mean, that is true because it's campy and weird, and George was a freaking weirdo. I mean, you listen to the man talk at any given time, he's just like, it's like you just expect him to say some out of pocket shit every time you hear him talk. Like it's like he's low key like people are watching him like, George, please don't say anything weird. Please don't say anything weird.
Yeah.
Like,
listen, Stu John is canon because he just said some weird shit to Jon Stewart at a panel. Okay,
exactly. I know.
Happen.
Yeah, I know. But this was like serious storytelling, and also in light of the current political situation in the U.S. Man, I saw so many freaking Andor signs.
Protests there were things. There were signs all over the place because Andor is actually inspiring people to be on the right side of history.
It is. I saw so many like I have friends everywhere signs. I saw all kinds of excerpts from Nimic's manifesto on protest signs. Like, I don't know. I think it hit home for people in a way that Star Wars is often not hit. I mean, we sort of like heroize the Empire, I think, a little bit. Like,
Empire was it Empire did nothing wrong or whatever? The subreddit and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Empire did nothing wrong. Like, like in the 501st is a cool thing, and it's bad guys doing good. But we sort of like, I don't know, not infantilized the Empire, but we've made it more okay than it is. And Andor was like, no, the Empire is very fascist. Like, I love that.
Let's be clear.
I love that the actress that
Denise Goff.
Yeah, Denise. Yeah, I love that Denise on stage at Celebration said that I think she was asked a question like, how do you describe this season? I think she said very fascist. Is what she said.
Yeah, because all the interviews are like, oh, isn't Dedra? How you trying to find her and defend her? She's like, oh no, she's a she's an authoritarian, horrible person. Like there's no question about this. You know,
this season gets very weird and very fascist, is what she described, and it's like spot on. And I'm still shocked by this. I'm still shocked that this show pulled it off. Like, it's easier for us to be fans and watch this show and feel like, wow, this is like the best Star Wars ever been made. But a lot of times when you're fans of such a nerd, like, niche hobby thing, like, it feels like we're yelling at the wall a little bit of like, hey, you gotta watch this thing, it's really good. Like,
still might get canceled. You never
I know.
Yeah.
It might get canceled. Like, Rebels is really good. It's hard to pitch Rebels to your adult friends, frankly. Like,
like if
you know what I mean,
stick
like,
with it, oh my god, you will. Kanan and Hera are the best. You will absolutely like all the Bendu. It's cool, but
it's like pitching. It's like pitching anime. It's like pitching anime to people who've never watched anime before. Yeah. Like, anime is a huge. You have to understand the cultural importance of anime. Like you go to Japan and everyone takes it very seriously, and all the artists talk about it like this is their entire life. Like, it has a lot of respect as an industry.
Yes.
But pitch anime to somebody who doesn't understand anything about anime, and it's like, oh, you want me to watch cartoons for children? Like, it feels like that. It feels like that when you're trying to talk about Star Wars. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that with Andor. It's like you are gonna feel things when you watch Andor if you're not a Star Wars fan. Like, it's gonna hurt you and affect you, and you're gonna ask questions, and you're gonna say, "Oh my god," a lot while you're watching it. Like, because it's just, I don't know, it's in your face. I mean, Connor just put it amazingly well in the chat. He said it's objectively a great show even without Star Wars. And that's 100% it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that Gorman
episode. Even all of these facts, the fact that it did this well at the finale.
Yes. It could be the best
it's still
thing ever.
Unbelievable to me. It doesn't feel real that that's even possible.
Yeah, Severance didn't overtake Bluey. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
There is an element of this is something different. And I guess my biggest question I have for you guys, because we have taken this topic to task quite a bit on the show, and we're about to get into another part of it here to end tonight. What lessons does Star Wars learn from this? Because this is 2025 does seem to be the year of Lucasfilm actually taking some really good lessons. I think we're actually getting a good amount of momentum right now. Like, clearly they learned about marketing and used that on Andor, and now they won the Nielsen race, and now they got Emmys going on. Like, we're in a really good trajectory. If you're Kathleen Kennedy, if you're Iger, and it comes across your desk and say, hey, yo, we hit #1 in Nielsen, what is your move now going forward? What do you use that information to do?
I think it's the thing that I've been asking for and preaching for literally years now, ever since this era of live action TV is writing. It's writing and plot. Like, if you can write a good story, people will watch it. Like, it's like Severance is an amazingly written TV show. The Bear is an incredibly written TV show. Shrinking is an incredibly written TV show.
All these hot takes you got.
I know.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Like, these shows are incredibly well written, and they have trouble performing when they're well written. If you combine well written with the Star Wars IP, it will freaking print money. Like, the Star Wars IP already prints money. Like, so you combine it with really, really strong writing, and somebody like Tony at the helm that will fiercely defend it and not let the corporate overlords like mess it up with cameos and water down the story, and
seem to not want to. I mean, he said Kathy was our staunchest defender. Disney gave them no notes. Like, they clearly tried to be like, hey, what if we didn't act like an entity and let the project happen for once? And it was like, yeah, dog. Look what it did. Look how great this is.
It just was strong. Man, Connor, you got just like take after take, my guy. Like, get out of anime. He said, get out of animation mindset. That's a beautiful way of thinking about it, actually.
Yeah.
We are sort of in the animation mindset. We've been saying for a while that like,
we're just not dig on animation as a medium.
Yeah.
It is
it's
a
not.
Mindset,
it's
though,
just.
as he says.
I know. It seems like our leading creators, Filoni, Favreau, coming from the animation, like, I guess Favreau is not really so much animation, but I just feel like he is almost like Filoni's right-hand man in some ways in the storytelling. Like, we're coming from that world, and I don't know. It's just Star Wars has never been able to be like this, serious
Use
and
the
artistic,
medium.
and
Like they used Andor as a live action prestige television show. And it was that. Clone Wars is a half-hour animated series that can be light and also can be very dark. Siege of Mandalore is one of the best stories in the history of Star Wars because they treated the medium as it deserves. And I think we're really getting in a good space with that. And you know what? Here, I'm going to use that as a very inorganic segue because our next story actually has a lot to do with that as well. Because it turns out it was quite the week for lessons about the future of Star Wars because we heard a bit from the head honcho about this very subject. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, love her, made an appearance at the BFI Film Institute for a very special screening of the original print of Star Wars, something that hadn't happened since 1978. But before the screening began, Kennedy mentioned that she was in London for another reason. She was scoping out filming for Starfighter, which begins in September, just 3 months away from right now. She also mentioned some ideas about how Lucasfilm will be creating Star Wars in the future. But before we get back to that, real quick, guys, is this the most unique way we've ever gotten a shooting date confirmation? Because we had no idea it was starting in September until Kathy just said it into a mic.
Yeah, I was going to say, this doesn't happen until we actually see shooting. And even then, does it still happen? But
no, Kathy's written some checks. I think it's September. But
yeah, that's wild. That's wild. She's like, hey, oh, by the way, first you're going to see this historic screening that we haven't shown in went forever. And is this the screening where they showed this is the original movie, right? This isn't where
yes.
1977's original print. Apparently it had been saved in a 23 degrees Celsius room for 40 years so it didn't degrade.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that I didn't know that this existed.
Kathy said
honestly
didn't
there's so many things to unpack from this, frankly. Like this when this story came out this week, I was just like, what is happening? Freaking Kathy, does somebody need to check on her? Does she have a brain tumor? She woke up 6 months ago and chose violence.
I love her.
She's on a new one. She's on a new one. That rumors came out earlier this year that she's retiring, and she literally called up freaking Hollywood Reporter and was like, actually, fuck that. That's not true at all.
Yeah, what was that?
Here's what we're doing though.
Exactly. And then it's just like banger after banger after banger. And Kathy was the only person that stood up for freaking Andor and basically fought off the corporate world for that to happen. And now it seems like she's also the genius behind Starfighter.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
She showed up to the screening and she was like, I'm just here so you all don't think this is illegal. Like she made a joke.
I know.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
And now she's promoting showing an original version of the film. Does this mean they might release this one day?
No. I think this is a special event for BFI. I can't imagine. Honestly, I don't think they could. I think it might.
Listen, a year ago, 2 years ago, I would maybe say that. But the last 6 months, I don't know. Maybe they digitized this and released it in some way. I mean, freaking Caravan of Courage is on Disney Plus. Who would have thought that would have ever happened?
That came out of your mouth. How dare you?
That's what I'm saying.
Kathy's feeling the power. I think she is I see. We have weirdly, for all the downside we said, Skeleton Crew, one of the best shows we've ever gotten. Andor, the best show we've ever gotten. Starfighter is actively in production. Mandalorian Grogu is basically done filming, working on stuff, gonna hit the deadline next time. We're coming back to the movie theaters. The books are smashing right now with the last couple. Star Wars is actually in a weirdly phenomenal spot right now.
It's in this weird place where it feels like we don't know what's happening next, but it also sort of simultaneously feels like maybe we're on the rise and we haven't caught on yet. That we're entering a high market. You know what I mean? The stock market's doing great and we're on the way up.
And we're gonna look back at it. Yeah, we're gonna look back at it. We should have bought more stock today. This day that we're talking about it. Yeah. It should be something.
And also this timing worked out because last week we talked about Mia Goth being cast in Starfighter and Deadline and how everyone said that, and I'm like, that's pretty good. It's probably right. But then she got there. Obviously, she didn't address that. But if she says, hey, we're putting a cast together right now, we're shooting in less than 3 months, that basically confirms that they're putting, because that's what they're putting together. Someone clearly found out about it. And I guess she's just I know I did the timing on this as well. I did a little bit of math, and as I was putting together the outline, I found out for most major like genre film, like Marvel, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, it takes about 3 to 4 months to shoot principal photography, right? So let's say this starts in September. You shoot principal photography, you end early 2026, February, March at the latest. This movie comes out May of 2027. That's over a year of post-production that you have to do all the effects, everything to make sure it's not rushed. Like Mandalorian and Grogu seem to be the same way. They had about a year of post-production. Like, this is a really great trajectory of like, we are giving people a lot of time to put these
testing
movies
things
together.
for sure.
Like,
we're testing things for sure. Andor doing well is a really great lesson to learn. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm still just shocked that they showed this original version, this original screening of this.
Yep.
That's just so freaking shocking to me. Like,
Yep.
historically, they've like Lucasfilm, even back in the George days, like
George
almost
didn't want to. He said it doesn't
almost
exist
like
to him.
almost wouldn't exist. Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it almost like didn't exist to
Yep.
George. Like whatever version he had edited to be the newest version, that was what it always was, because that was what it was in his mind and how he saw it. He pretends that it doesn't exist, which is insane. Like, that's like just the worst take that George Lucas ever had. He would just change shit, and then no one could call him on it because he acted like this is what it was supposed to be, but the takes were objectively bad.
Dude,
like
my conspiracy theory is that Kathy said yes because she'd never seen it, and she's like, I want to see what this is.
I know.
Like,
I know.
They don't have one at Skywalker Ranch. Like, it's not just hanging out, you know. Like,
can you imagine like that's somebody's job to maintain all this equipment in like some archive, some like probably some librarian chains person. They probably have a PhD. Yeah, it's you know, it's someone who has really made their career in life out of archival and museum, and that's an entire industry, right?
Yep.
Like that person got a call and says, "Hey, can you see if it's possible to like does that work? Do we have equipment that could like show that thing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Like, you know, we test it every once in a while. We make sure it's working. Like, can we do that at like a bigger scale and show it to like, I don't know, 100 people? Can you imagine being on the other end of the phone? They'd be like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this is freaking happening."
I think I have to call Kathleen Kennedy.
No. She's on the line. Kathy, are you cool with this? Yeah. We're gonna do this. Can you imagine? Like, honestly,
Kathy goes, "How'd you find that? That sounds really." I'll be there. Like, but then of course, Kathy, being the boss queen that she is, and as Corey said, she's pretty loquacious in 2025. Didn't stop there, because she gave another great quote that threw our Slack for a loop this week. She said, quote, "We're in a position where it's broadened the possibility of stories and filmmakers we can bring in to tell stories that mean something to them." Talking about the future of Star Wars. "It doesn't necessarily have to connect to every little thing that's been done." Now, listen, I know they plan far ahead, but if there is anything that is the Andor effect, that is the Skeleton Crew effect, like, this quote is her literally saying, yeah, James Mangold's doing Dawn of the Jedi. That's not connected. Oh, yeah, Skeleton Crew, not really. Oh, Starfighter? Oh, that's totally different. That's fine. Like, they're learning the right lessons.
I know.
It's actually happening.
I know. It literally took the entire the entire sequel trilogy and then everything that's come after, and this whole time it still feels like, what are we doing? Like, we're still messing around in the same time period with Mandalorian and all this stuff. Like let's move on. Like, this should have been what we did the first time. Like,
absolutely.
But man, but it really, I don't know, this week with the High Republic ending and Andor being like, yeah, we're number 1, and them showing this old footage, not being afraid of it, and looking ahead to Starfighter being filmed, like, there's just such a vibe of like, to quote Tom Cruise, we're back. We're back, baby. Like, it's just,
we are so back.
We're so back.
It does feel like that a little bit.
Corey's buddy cop drama is making like even more like rounds that it's going to come about, because it has nothing to do with anything, right? So it could be your buddy cop, not maybe a drama, but just like a TV series. It'd be hilarious.
I can't believe that. I can't believe you freaking remember me talking about that. Yes, I want that. I want a Coruscant underworld freaking cop drama. The underrated trilogy, the Coruscant Knights Legends trilogy.
Yep.
Underrated trilogy. It's this one like ex Jedi and his droid partner, and they like it's such a fantastic freaking like premise. I want that. I want a story like Skeleton shouldn't exist. That show shouldn't exist. It had nothing to do with like the Jedi are like myth in the story. Like it shouldn't exist at all.
But John
it's not
Watson,
connected
to
anything.
had an idea that was like
it was great.
It was
It was shockingly good.
Phenomenal.
It was shockingly good. Do you think maybe the problem is that like because we have the context of like the Skywalker saga, that everything feels like it's almost the Avengers effect. Everything has to be better than what it was before. So we just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we lose concept of scale. Like
I think it was, but I think now we have the proof we're getting out of it. Like earnestly, like the next animated series is Maul and the Underworld, which is smaller than Clone Wars and smaller than Rebels, but it's gonna be like really good. Starfighter is smaller but somewhat connected. Like Andor on scale was bigger, but was, I guess, smaller stories. Like I think the lesson has been learned, man. I think we're.
It certainly seems like it. The ultimate test. The ultimate test will be is the Rey film. I feel like I think we have to move away. We have to move away from this idea that there always has to be a big bad, like somebody who's equal to the Empire and Darth Vader and the Emperor. We have to move away from this idea. Like just leave everybody alone for a while. Like haven't they earned some peace? You know, like, couldn't Princess Leia have just lived her life in peace? Couldn't we have done that instead of
Star Peace? You know what? That's the next trilogy.
Star Peace, exactly. No,
these are
you
guys
can't have
in their
that.
30s talking about it. Can't we just relax?
You dedicate all your you dedicate so much of your life, and like literally your entire home planet is destroyed before your freaking eyes, and your dead parents, and everyone's dead, and we we finally defeat the Empire. Just kidding. There's a second Empire.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I hope that that Lucasfilm and like the people that are thinking money are getting past the fact like everything we're trying to bring in new viewers. We're trying to bring in new people all the time. And all they're going to ask is, where's Luke Skywalker? Where are the Jedi with their laser swords? And so as long as they give the leeway and they give the freedom to these writers to say, hey, we don't have to do that. You can do that in the Rey film, or at least try to.
Exactly.
But we got other things to do. Yeah,
you can, and I think that's what we're realizing is that for so many years it was one or the other. It was one or the other, and it's like, well, if we don't have the cute thing and the cool Jedi, people aren't gonna like it. It's like, no, you can do that, but then Andor still got the best ratings. But then also that doesn't mean Luke isn't cool in Mando. It doesn't mean Rey isn't gonna talk about Luke, but Ryan Gosling in Starfighter probably doesn't know who Luke Skywalker is. Like. This is gonna be this is the galaxy, and that's what Kathy is saying. Like, and I think we can all agree she doesn't have that many years left as president. Even if it's not this year, it's probably sooner than later. I feel like she's setting the groundwork for her exit to be like, yo, going forward, we are opening the doors. The good creatives are gonna say they want to work here because we have heard from the books to the movies to the series. You don't get certain creators because they're gonna feel penned in. They're gonna feel like they can't tell their stories. And it feels like Kathy here at this screening is saying, hey, heads up to everybody that's watching, that's not how we roll anymore. If you got a story and you're a freaking Oscar winner or something, let us know. We can probably make it.
Let's find a place on the timeline for that to fit. And it can be a small story that fits nicely between other projects, or it can be a big story that sits way outside of the timeline. That's really what I think I'm asking for now is like, now that we've done the sequel trilogy thing, like, I think it would have been better to contain Star Wars previously as we knew it to prequels and original trilogy, and let that be it's a 30-year period basically, and everything happened there, and we're done. Like that does make sense for the course of history.
And
I feel
we're realizing
but
that slowly. Like,
I know
it's now starting to come out of the phase.
it seems like it's starting to, and like maybe we could have had an amazing First Order Rey story 100 years in the future. You know what I mean? Like maybe. Like they did it in Star Trek with the Next Generation. We moved on from Captain Kirk, right? Like it's a different time period now. Like I think that's maybe the way to do it.
I think I would like that if Ryan Gosling, someone's like, wow, Ryan Gosling's character, do you fly that Starfighter like Luke Skywalker? And he's just like, who? And then they just move on.
I do love that his name is going to be Ryan Gosling's character as well. I think that's his full name. Hey, Ryan Gosling's character, but it's like RYANN apostrophe GOHS.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's. I mean, the thing is, if y'all come to this show, you know we're broken records about this by now. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. It's really cool. Real quick, I do want to address Rebel Sith in the chat asking about plot points in Trials of the Jedi. I've read it. I will say nothing. So sorry. That is something that I can't say. But
if you just got here, some people live.
Some people live.
No, people are alive at the end of the book, is what I was told.
The galaxy is not barren. Is all I got.
That's right.
But
I will say.
I'm excited.
I will say, all this talk about big picture Star Wars, I always have to put this out into the universe because I want to manifest it. I do think large scale Jedi versus Sith is a super interesting story. It's what makes the Old Republic so fun, such an amazing playground, and they need to go there eventually. I don't know if they need to go forward, if they need to go backwards. And frankly, I don't really care. In Legends, they were starting to go forward with the Sith. Like Luke is really old, and the Sith have actually existed. That's where they were going in Legends, like 40 years after the movies or some shit.
If Rey finds out there's been a Sith colony on this planet, like basically Korriban has been remade, and there's hundreds of them, and she has to create an army, and you get a bunch of great. Or
don't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't do that. Don't do that. It can't be Rey. Rey is done. All right.
What?
Rey's done. Why?
Rey is a trilogy.
No
Listen,
way.
everything cannot happen in a 50-year period in the time period of the galaxy. All right. Let's go 100 years.
Dawn of the Jedi does that.
1,000 years into the future. All right. Yes.
There will be there. I do think though, in the next 20 years, on our television screens, we will get the amount of lightsabers that we got at the Battle of Geonosis, which is still the most we've ever seen on a single screen, but it'll be half Jedi, half Sith, and we'll actually do some good old saber on saber.
And I don't want it to be Force Ghosts, Luke Skywalker, and freaking Rey, and Force Ghost Anakin, and Force Ghost Mace Windu. I want it to be new people, somebody completely freaking new. All right, like let's leave all these characters alone. They've had enough. All right, let's move on. You're still
you know what?
holding on.
Let go. Oh man, it is going to be an exciting future of Star. You know what? Every single week we're like, what are we going to talk about? But it always works out because we are absolutely moving forward more kinetic energy than we've had in so many years. And guys, almost 2 years to the day, we're going to be in Los Angeles for the 50th anniversary, because Kathy also said we're already planning the celebration for the 50th. They're already talking about it. That is going to be, I swear, I said it in Slack, I'll say it on the show. The vibe of that weekend is going to be the first 50 years of Star Wars were this. The next 50 years of Star Wars are this.
Ooh,
and I think
hope so.
that is where we're getting this kind of stuff, and it's going to be awesome. But tomorrow, you all get a little bit of a look at what's happening to end this chapter of Star Wars with Trials of the Jedi. Make sure you get your copy. I'm sure if you're listening or watching, all your copies are pre-ordered. The audiobook is also phenomenal, and keep an eye out for our review, which drops tomorrow morning. Again, no spoilers in that. It'll be on the site around 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern. But, my friends, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Youtini Show. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We will be back next week to keep you up to date with everything going on in Star Wars. I'm sure we'll have many more stories. Until then, read Trials of the Jedi, watch Andor, boost those Nielsen ratings, and until next time, may the Force be with you.